Hi, I'm Peter Grodi, and this is the Faith of Our Flyers. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Faith of Our Flyers. I am Peter Grodi, your friendly neighborhood seminarian. First things first, another After 5 event happening this weekend, which is December 17th. After the 5 o'clock Mass on December 17th, the After 5 group is going to be having a Christmas party. So there's going to be fun, there's going to be games, there's going to be food, all the different things you need for a good party. And of course, everyone from grades 12 to 4 is invited, so we certainly hope to see a lot of you there, especially all those who have come to the last 2 events. It's been amazing. But also, we have been told that a certain Brandon Furlong he loves the game Clue, and he challenges the world to try to beat him at the game of Clue. Maybe he didn't exactly say that, but it's too late to take it back now. Sorry, Brandon. Last thing also, just in these videos, I've had a couple people ask questions. When I say that you can click on the link below, just know that I'm not talking about like you click on the actual video right there. I'm saying that in the description below, and there's usually a button that says show more, you click on. In there's the links that I talk about. So if you've ever wondered where to find those links that I talk about, you just got to go down there. Advent's just been flying by this year. Probably because there's only about 3 weeks of it. It just kind of worked out that way. And every year around this time, I always ask myself the same question. And no, it's not why are the Cleveland Browns so bad. There are just some mysteries in life that can't be explained this side of heaven. The question is, what can I do to make sure that Advent is not forgotten in our preparation for Christmas? I mean, Advent is all about preparing for Christmas, but it's about preparing ourselves in an interior and exterior way for the coming of Christ. And not just like, the symbolic remembrance of his coming at Christmas time as he did 2,000 years ago, but also the intimate, continual coming of Christ into our hearts in a deeper and special way. This is a time where we especially focus on making ourselves more open to God, who's always trying to enter our hearts in a special way. So how do I make sure that I don't let this time of preparation pass by without actually doing any preparing? So many different things that distract us, and wrapping presents is not preparing ourselves for Christmas. So today we're going to focus on one way to do that. And this way is emptying ourselves so that we make room for God to fill us. Or in other words, making space for God. But you know me, and obviously I would not be content with just explaining this to you. And I've been sort of a show and tell mood lately, so, here we go. Here we have a glass. And for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to pretend the glass is you. Your mind, your heart, your soul, your body, all of your capacity for focusing on and embracing things with your concentration, time, words, and actions. Over here, we have oil, or in this case, God. Over here, we have everything else. Now, in the normal course of life, we have a lot of things that draw our attention, time, and energy. Some of them are necessary, but a lot of them are not. We got sports, we got school, got our jobs, we got laundry, walking the dog, etc., etc. But we also got our iPod with music, television, video games, hanging out with friends, all kinds of food, all different manner of good and enjoyable things that we have. Now, when it comes to the attention, and not just attention, but concerted energy and investment we place in God, we usually find it in competition with all the other things, represented here by the fact that when I pour the oil over the water, they push against each other and stay separate, because science. Now, this equilibrium is good, not because anything should compete with God for our attention, but because God's plan for our life incorporates these other things. However, a problem can occur when we start taking on more and more of these other things. We get involved in one too many school activities. We start taking on one too many hobbies. We start watching more and more television. When we are stressed, we start eating more and more enjoyable but unhealthy things. Anytime we experience silence, we turn on music so that something is going on, etc., until God has no space in our life.
As you can see here, the water pushes the oil out the top, because science. Just like all those distractions, when heaped up, push God out of our lives. And the saddest part is, half the time, we don't even know it's happening. So what does this have to do with Advent? Well, Advent is supposed to be a time when we prepare our lives for Jesus. It is a time to recognize that while most of this stuff isn't bad, it is not as important as God. Advent is a perfect time to empty out a little of this extra stuff so that God can come and fill the space. Now, the result of emptying some of this stuff out may be a feeling of, well, emptiness. We are so used to filling in our attention spans with every possible thing, myself included. Not having that constant distraction can feel strange at first, but we have to be willing to embrace that feeling of emptiness when something that we are used to goes away, so that we can ask God through prayer and silence to come and fill that space that should have been reserved for Him in the first place.
Did you get all that? Okay, great. So the question you should all ask yourselves this week is, what things do I automatically turn to when I have free time? What things do continuously absorb your attention, continuously distract you so that you don't have any intentional time left for God? What fills the empty times in your life so that God has nothing left to fill? He's not very pushy when it comes to stuff like this, you know? He doesn't often force us to empty our cups. He asks us to make room for Him rather than forcing us. So we have to make that space ourselves. We have to be intentional about that. So what can we set aside during Lent? Well, I mean, there's all kinds of things. Some guys that I knew at college and at seminary, they gave up things like sweets, television, fast food, showers. No. That was a joke. Don't you dare. If you take a little time to think about it, you'll find some non-essential things, non-essential, mind you, that you are afraid of setting aside. It kind of gives you trepidation to set aside because you're afraid of the emptiness that it'll leave in your life. You're afraid of what you're going to do without it. Chances are that's probably the exact thing you need to get rid of, for a time at least. Because that's the thing where you are taking something away that fills you, that thing, whatever it is, that you rely on to get through some of those hard times, to get through that empty time, to get through the silence, rather than asking God to be the one to help you get through that stuff. And God, rather than filling, your boredom and your silence with just distractions and things to keep you from, getting depressed or feeling empty, God begins to fill you after experiencing that emptiness and embracing it and then asking God to fill it. He begins to fill you with joy and with wonder and love and all these great things that last, that make a real difference in your life. So come on, guys, I want you to step up to the plate with this. I mean, we got a week and a half of Advent left. It's not much. You can choose something difficult to give up. I mean, it's only a week and a half, and it can make a difference. Okay? So that's my challenge, obviously, for this week, for all the week and a half of Advent that's left, to make Advent more than just a weird word that we hear once a year. Pick a thing to give up. I'm going to be giving up stuff as well, so don't feel like I'm, asking other people to do this and I'm not doing it. For instance, I'll be giving up elephant hunting and going to outer space. Just kidding. If you want to know what I'm giving up, I'm not going to tell you here. Sorry. But if you're really curious or if you want ideas about things to give up, you can always ask me in person. So remember the Christmas party at the After 5 this weekend. Come join us for games, food, good time had by all, I'm sure. So that's all we have for today. Be sure to tune in next week to see how I'm going to use chocolate milk to reflect on reconciliation. So until next week, stay faithful, have a good one, and I'll probably see you at Mass.